All right, you don't just move to Costa Rica for the palm trees and the sunsets. You move because you realize you were created for more than pressure and performance and pretending to be okay. What I found here changed everything for me. For my health, my faith, my mindset, the Pura Vida way. I actually have it on today. And if you're even thinking about moving or making the move, this is what no one's telling you, but you really need to know. And so I'm Vivian Johnson, and welcome to my channel. And here we explore what it really means to live a purpose-filled life that's grounded in faith, aligned with freedom, and anchored in God's design, right here from Costa Rica. This is Sarah, and I want to introduce you to her because her and her organization was so instrumental in helping me make the move to Costa Rica. She was my consultant throughout the whole process. She made me feel like I had a community before I arrived to Costa Rica. And so I wanted to bring her on because she is the expert on making that transition and that move. She's going to be sharing some amazing information. So please send this to someone, anyone that you think may be considering Costa Rica. And as always, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, and be sure to like and comment so YouTube knows to recommend this video to others. So, Sarah, tell us your Costa Rica story and what you do.
All right. Well, first of all, thanks for having me here. I really appreciate you inviting me to be on your channel. I love talking about Costa Rica. I could talk about it in my sleep, as I noted. So I moved here almost 10 years ago. So it'll be 10 years in September. I was 23 when I moved. I'm 33 now. And I always tell people, I mean, I guess I don't think anything's ever really happens by accident. But my reason for moving, I would say, is different than the reasons I stayed. So I guess you could say I moved by chance. I don't know if it was totally by chance, but it was more of it was a good point in my life to go try something new. I didn't own a home. I was a social worker at the time. So I figured, you know what? I want to go move to another country. I don't have much to lose. If it doesn't work out, I can come back. I can rent a new apartment. I can get a new job. I can get a new car. I could reset my life up fairly simple at that point in my journey. So it was just kind of a why not? Like now is a great time for me to go try something new in life. And I looked at some other countries as well. And I had some friends that were just raving about Costa Rica and it's so magical. And they were just talked about it as like the most magical place they'd ever been. So I Googled and I saw the picture of a white sand beach and I'm like, well, I like the beach. Sounds good to me. I hadn't been further south than Florida, but I was like, sure. So I packed up 2 bags. I think I made the decision, or I told people like June of 2015 that I was going to move. And then by September, I'd actually, was on the plane coming down for my move. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, like I thought maybe I would go try out other countries, but so I moved just because someone told me it was a great place, but I definitely stayed for a lot of other reasons. So maybe
Yeah.
like reasons why you moved or why you're here. Like, of course, it's a beautiful country. Like the nature
Yes.
is stunning. You can be outside all year round. But for me, it's definitely the people and the culture because you
Yep.
can be in an absolutely beautiful, stunning place. But if the people around you, if it's not the right vibe, then, it kind of puts a damper on the rest of it. But for me, the people, the culture, the values, those all are definitely a good fit for my lifestyle and like what I want for myself, essentially. So that's why I've stayed.
Yes, I concur.
Yeah.
So, if you are a person who is from another country and you are wanting to own land in Costa Rica, can foreigners really own land in Costa Rica?
Yes. So foreigners do have all the same rights to purchase property, like as a Costa Rican national. Now, of course, you need to do that process carefully and make sure you work with a really good lawyer because, as you know, when you move here, everybody's got their uncle's cousin who's got something that you need to check out. And, oh, you got to check this out over here. Oh, buy this over here. And sometimes there can be issues with the land, or there could be legal issues, or they'll say, well, the electricity's not quite up here yet, but the pole's not too far down and it won't be too much for them to bring it up. And, that can be an issue. You need electricity, you need water in order to get permits. So just, if you're going to purchase, you need to exercise caution. And I would just say purchase responsibly, make sure that oops, sorry about that. Make sure that you're buying like the actual market price of the area. I don't always encourage the people, we don't, Costa Ricans don't want the people that are going to come and purchase and tear things down and make these huge developments. So that's when I say like purchasing responsibly, like most people that I work with just want to, if they purchase at all, a lot of them don't, they just want to live their little quiet life surrounded by nature. They
Yeah.
don't want to touch too much. They want to minimize their footprint and their impact. So I would just encourage people to also consider like the impact of your purchase too.
I love that. And when I was looking at Facebook, which is many people will find properties from there, but you'll find so many. If someone puts a post and says, "Hey, I'm looking to move to Costa Rica," there's all of these folks who will say, "Well, you need to go. You need to really be in Guanacaste, or you need to be in, Santa Ana, or all of these things." When um, they're just telling you the best places because that's where they've got a property that they want to sell you, and it's not necessarily best for you. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. And then too, a lot of the locals are experiencing driving up prices because people are coming here and they're making the prices really really sky high. Like for example, the place that I live in that I bought it last year, but because the houses around me are starting to rise, like I probably couldn't afford this house now if I were to put it on, if it was on the market and I were going to buy it, because now it's jacked the price up in since October of last year, which is crazy. Um, what are some of the top mistakes that people make when they relocate?
That's a really good question. Well, one, I guess to kind of piggyback off of what we were talking, sometimes I think people do it in the reverse order. They start looking around online at properties and they go, "Ooh, this property is a great price and this looks pretty and I could see myself here," but they're not even considering where this is. So a lot of people that I've worked with sometimes will send me things, and then me already knowing them now and what they need, I'm like, this is not at all like, what the area that you've described to me that you need. So one thing is I would say choosing the right area is very important. So maybe not purchasing right away or unless you're 100% sure on your area. So some
Mhm.
people might, again, so number one, they might be looking at the property versus the actual area. So my biggest advice on that would be really figure out where you should be in the country, then look at properties. And also, you're
Agreed.
right. If you go on Facebook and say, "Oh, where should I live in Costa Rica?" You're going to get 1,000 different responses because these are all people that have chosen an area that's the best fit for them. So of course they think it's the best area. So you need to really think about you and what you need. And if you need an unbiased opinion, know where to find that. Then choose the area. And then I would say maybe don't purchase too quickly unless you're 100% sure on your area. Because I've lived in 20 different houses in this whole entire country. There's no shame in moving around, and that's okay.
That's
So if you need,
right.
like, you can't go wrong by taking it slow. Like, you're not going to make mistakes by taking it slow. So if you need to try out a few different areas, then you can do that. So I say that would be maybe one mistake is some people kind of purchasing a little bit too fast can happen. Like I said, picking the wrong area, maybe also just underestimating the cost of living here. So
Hmm.
I did a budgeting webinar not that long ago to try to help people understand how to calculate the cost of living based on an area that they want to live, but also your lifestyle, your habits, what's your day to day look like? Because you can definitely make living Costa Rica really expensive, but you can also make it really reasonable. Like totally
Exactly.
depends on your lifestyle. So I've seen some people underestimate the cost of living a little bit. And maybe those would be like the two bigger ones that I've seen.
I totally agree. When I came here, um, I before I came, I was online and I was just, dreaming about all these different places, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna love this place and I want to really see this place." But when I got here, I hated it. Like it was next to this, really bad you know, air housing development. They stuck this beautiful house and it was surrounded by, a lot of trash and things like that. And I was like, "No, that's not what I want." Um, so you really just need to come, feel it, see it. Even in America, location, location, location. Like if you're going to buy, just that makes a difference. The other thing is, I love what you said about buying too quickly because it takes a while, like to sit. Houses don't move as fast in Costa Rica than like they do in the US. And so um, you may find a good place to live, but then you may not find a good place that resells quickly. Like it may be on the market for a year, type of thing. So taking your time is really is I think is really important. Um, what about healthcare? What is that like?
I think the healthcare system's good. I think it's very good here. So we have the public healthcare system and then the private. So there's definitely a difference, between the two. And I like to be able to explain that to people so they know what to expect. I notice, at least in my experience, that people are going to use a little bit of everything. They're going to use like a little mix of everything. A lot of private healthcare insurance plans aren't going to cover pre-existing conditions. So that's definitely one thing that people should know. And or it can get pretty pricey, especially the older you get. It can I would say not as pricey as North America, just from what people have told me. They're like, oh no, these prices are way better. So what I notice, I guess, maybe for people maybe in their 50s, 60s, 70s, they might use some out of pocket. So maybe, as you know, we don't even need dental insurance here because you can just go pay for a cleaning. It's usually what, $80 or less, or
Very
you know,
cheap.
that's fine. If you have an ear infection, you don't even need to go to the doctor. You can actually just go to the pharmacy here, tell them you have an ear infection. They're just going to give you the antibiotics. So that automatically cuts that. You don't even really have to go to the doctor for most things. But
Oh,
if you
wow.
do, yeah, like for most things, you can just go and tell them what you have going on and they'll give you the medication, which is nice. Rather than going to the doctor for them to tell you that you have an ear infection. You're like, I know. Like, now give me the medicine. Here you can just go to the pharmacy and tell them what's going on. Um, so accident, you must have, I would say, private insurance at least for accident or emergency, even if you're just coming on a trip. You have those cheap travelers insurances. So make sure
Hmm.
at minimum you're at least covered for that. Then I do have some clients that maybe have, the Medicare. That's Medicare, right? No,
Yep.
not yeah,
Medicare.
Medicare. So I would say don't drop the Medicare. So if this is for people in the US, I know there could be Canadians watching this too, but don't drop your Medicare because let's say if something chronic or larger comes up that needs more treatment, you can go back. You can always fly back and do that. A
Hmm.
lot of times specialists here are also a bit cheaper just to see out of pocket as well. They definitely are cheaper to see out of pocket. And you don't always have to go to the doctor to then get the referral. You can just go straight to the specialist, book an appointment. So that's nice. So I feel like the system just makes a little bit more sense. The private system, you're able to maneuver a little bit more. You're able to pay out of pocket a little bit more because it is more affordable. You can get more of like a comprehensive insurance plan if you want. That could
Hmm.
be places. But I would say, and then the public healthcare system, if you do get your residency, you have to pay into it. So it's not optional to opt out of it. It's going to be a percentage,
Hmm.
of your income that they calculate that you have. So I'll have some people might use that just for prescriptions. And I guess if, an accident or emergency came up, you could still go there too. If you are here on a trip and an accident happened, you could still go to a public facility and they will treat you. But the public healthcare system would not be something that you'd want to, oh, I need a knee surgery. Let me wait 15 years to get on, let me be on the wait list for 15 years for that. So you'll want something in case something urgent comes up that needs
Yes.
immediately because you don't want to be sitting on a wait list. There are
Oh,
long wait
like
lists.
private.
Yeah.
You would want private. So I just went to have my first physical, and I did see a specialist. I in America I saw a rheumatologist, and so I did the research and found a private hospital here, and I was really amazed at the quality of care. I don't think I was. I think I was, thinking that um, America is the best care that you can get. But I was shocked when I came here, and it took in the time that I was in America, going to my doctor visits for rheumatologists. They kept saying, "I'm going to do an exam. I'm going to do, ultrasound and all of that." The first visit here, he pulls out his ultrasound and he checks, all my hands and everything. I mean, I was amazed at the technology, the high technology and the quality. of the care. It was in a beautiful facility, Lincoln Plaza in San Jose. The name of the hospital was Hospital Metropolitan,
Metropolitano. Yeah.
Metropolitano. And I was really, really shocked and really impressed. And so I got all my blood work done there. They did an exam and an ultrasound that day. Like I didn't have to go back or go somewhere else. It was done right there. And what I also found positive is he was trying to see how he can reduce my medication as opposed to keeping me on the medication like in the US and trying to, and not seeing how he can, you know, create another healthy way of living for me. So I feel like the attitude towards health was different than my experience in America. The other thing that so I've gone to the dentist. You're right, out of pocket was like really, really cheap. And then, but I was shocked that even that the technology that they had in the dentist office far outseated America. They used a tool on my teeth to clean it that I had never had it in all the time that I was in America ever. So that was shocking. And you're right. I think I paid for my cleaning and X-ray and all of that like $40. It was like dirt cheap. So there's no reason for me to have like a dental care. And then they talked about doing implants because there's a tooth that I have here that she said that because you took your teeth out, your other tooth at the below is going to be trying to find the other teeth, so you might need an implant. But even that, I think it's like $500 a pop. But in America, I think it's like $10,000 per tooth. It's crazy. So I would say to your point, like I totally agree with having the private insurance, having the options, but also knowing that you can pay out of pocket for some things because it's just not, um, it's reasonable. So,
Exactly. And I would say like the personal touch too. So like I had some clients tell me they came down on their scouting trip. They wanted to meet with a cardiologist just to like, have that appointment, see how the care was. And they said they like left the office in happy tears because the doctor sat with them, talked with
yep,
them, they hugged, like it's just the level of care is also just more human. And
it
it's not just,
is.
okay, in and out. I mean, I guess, that can happen sometimes, but my experience too has just been like they truly like they spend that time with you. They're not just overbooking themselves to then be able to get you out the door as fast as they can after they just made you wait for an hour and a half. Like they actually spend that time and like kind of like you said, they're trying to see how they can reduce your medication, how they can improve your quality of life, in that way.
Exactly. And I have WhatsApp. Like, oh, he says, if you need me to talk to me, WhatsApp me, have a real conversation. Like you have access to your health care. I was shocked whether it was in America, I couldn't, I mean, you're talking to their secretary, then you're waiting for days for them to get back to you and all of that. And then when you talk to them, it's very transactional. It's not this really caring relationship. So I was very pleasantly surprised at that as well. Yes, and to your point, like the pharmacy, like I could just go to the pharmacy and get what I need, whereas they don't. There's a lot of red tape in America.
Mhm.
And then there's, they also share things that are not necessarily prescription, but even, you know, um, healthy options for like, the primary doctor that I went to for my physical, she goes, you need to drink more water while it's humid here in Costa Rica because I was having issues with vertigo and she says, oh, you need to drink like more water. And although they may tell you that in America, but most of the time they're going to give you a pill and say you need to, take this, allergy thing or whatever. Whereas she just said, let me know you're in a different climate and you may have to do things a little bit differently. So I thought that was really cool. Um, okay, so what about raising kids in Costa Rica?
Yeah, so well, as you know, so my daughter was born here. So I got pregnant a year after moving. She's 8 years old now. So crazy. Time flies. So I think it's been a great place to raise kids. I work with a lot of families who do move with their kids. I guess in terms of, well, education, there are good private school options and they
Hmm.
don't necessarily have to cost an arm and a leg. I guess on the lower end, like I pay $440 a month for my daughter's private school, smaller class sizes, very more small and quaint, not like giant cinder blocky, depressing environments. On the higher end, maybe there might be $1,200 per month, especially in and around the Central Valley. So just to give people some pricing on that aspect. Kids can, of course, come and go to public school, and I'll have, clients will ask me about that, but it's all going to be in Spanish. So yeah, they really have to think about what their kids are going to be comfortable with, for their own transition, especially if their kids don't speak Spanish. And I do think the level of education would be better in the private system too. In terms of just like day to day family life, I think people want their kids closer to nature. They want, again, the cultural values here in Costa Rica. I think people a lot of times move here for that. They're very family oriented. Again, it is a slower pace. It's not so much about who has what. And, they don't have like that, I guess, level of competition, that some people might see in some areas of the US or, other countries. So
Right.
I think I do see a lot of parents moving their kids here because they want them to kind of be immersed in that culture, in those values, be able to just kind of enjoy being a kid, going out, exploring nature, getting to have that experience. But I think it's a great place for kids. Costa Ricans love kids. Oh my gosh. I mean,
Yes,
if I
they do. I love it.
love them. Like I've had, the grocery store and the kids wailing, they're not glaring at you. They are like, I'd be in line and they're like, oh, how can I help? They'll start bouncing your baby up and down for you. And not in a weird way. Like in the States, you'd be like, oh my God, don't touch my baby. Here it's more like auntie vibes, So and they're just genuine. They love kids so much. They're just so like child oriented, and so it's really fun to have kids here because they're not seen as a burden. Every child here is seen as a complete blessing. They love them.
Wow.
They love pregnant people. I remember being pregnant. They're like, oh my God, they're all up in there. How when are you due? And they're so it's really it's nice. It's a
That
fun
is
place.
awesome. Yeah, and I have found that to be true too. Is both they love kids, they love pets, like
Mhm.
dogs, even cats, and they love just nature. They just have such a respect for family and
Mhm.
all of that. And I absolutely love that. For someone who, I have three children, I have grandchildren, I have three bonus children, um, and being able to have them experience that here would be great. The other thing is I noticed that in some schools they will, because here they have Green Valley, I think, in a tennis, but
Mhm.
I think they immerse with both English and Spanish. So are there schools here that allow you to have the both languages taught?
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of these private schools are bilingual. So some
Okay.
they're going to be different. Some might be primarily Spanish with more English, like maybe Spanish core classes with kind of more the English extracurricular and an English class. Because there's
Okay.
actually a lot of Costa Ricans. So where my daughter goes, it's majority Costa Rican kids in her private school. So Costa Ricans, when they can, also
That's
send kids to
awesome.
private school. And depending on the school, of course, but it doesn't mean that it's just going to be filled with a bunch of other, gringo kids. There could be a lot of Costa Rican kids in there as well because the Costa Rican parents want their kids to have that bilingual education as well.
Exactly. That is awesome. I love the private, even the public schools. I notice here in Atenas, they have the uniforms, and so from what I understand, the schools here in Atenas are very, very good schools. Um, even the public ones. Um, what are there any insights that you have, speaking of the culture here, what insights do you have for creating and building community here?
That's a really good question too. You got all these amazing questions. Um, let's see. I guess if I were to start all over again, number one, well, people are very open, friendly and like happy to meet you. So I think it's very easy to meet people, but you do have to put yourself out there. You can't just, sit around and expect that you're going to meet people. So you do have to take yourself out of your comfort zone a little bit. I would say starting with your hobbies and things that you like to do. So if you have particular hobbies, Or sometimes people I work with are just coming from such busy lives. They're like, I don't even know. I don't even know what I like anymore. But a lot of people are moving for a lifestyle change, as you know. So I would say if that's the case, what are things that you want to try? Moving, making sure again to choose an area that's gonna that's gonna have those things that you want to do, that's gonna be a part of your lifestyle, so that you can try those out. So then you'll meet some people with common interests. Like, so you'll meet people fairly quickly. People are very, kind and open, and they actually have time to hang out, which is nice.
Yeah.
Volunteer. So volunteering is another great way to get in the community. I would say every community has some kind of volunteer organization that you can get involved with. So that's another really good way to meet people. As you know, there's some of these meetups where people do
Yep.
meet up, like the breakfasts or lunches. So if you can get to one of those, that would be a good way to meet people and network. For here, I live on the coast, so we go to Sunset. That's like my one of my friends calls it the Sunset Cult. We all go down to the beach, and stare at the sun going down. So that's an easy place. You bring kids, your pets, or just yourself. Grab a smoothie or a cocktail, whatever you prefer, and it's very easy to meet people there too. It's very easy to strike up conversations and get to know people, and those are likely people that live in the town too. So,
That's
and
awesome.
online too. So let's say some people do want to form some community prior to moving. That's when I know some Facebook can be kind of a double-edged sword. But that could be a way to meet people. Just, hey, I'm going to be new to the area. Would love to meet some people or go for a coffee or get to know someone. A lot of times you'll always see comments under, hey, yeah, I'd love to get together. I'll get together with you. So there are people that are open and willing to meet too, or maybe kind of in the same situation as you. Maybe they just got here 3 months ago, or maybe if it's a Costa Rican. I've seen Costa Ricans chime in on that. Yes, I'd love to have a coffee with you. You can even do like a little bit of a language exchange. I mean, I think immersing with the culture and the people of Costa Rica is really important. It's going to enhance your experience. They're never going to make fun of you for your Spanish, just you trying with whatever words you can. They will
Yep.
absolutely appreciate it. They're not making fun of you. They're going to try to meet you halfway too. So I would say integrating as much as you can, even if it's with your landlord or your neighbor, invite them over for some, you know, um, tea, coffee
Yep.
and
Three
something.
o'clock tea time.
Exactly. So
That's the
definitely,
thing. I've learned that that's a Costa Rican thing. Coffee and tea at 3. So
yeah,
yeah.
totally.
Pickleball was something that I had never done in America, but there's all these pickleball groups here, which is another meetup, which I was surprised at. If you're into hiking, there's hiking groups that saw. Love the whole sunset idea. Here in the neighborhood, there's both Costa Ricans and gringos, and speaking of that whole tea time or coffee time, they have where some days they'll speak all English and some days they'll speak all Spanish. So you can, practice with them for tea time at 3 and do things like that. So yeah, when I came, you connected me with the WhatsApp communities. I had like what 4 or 5 communities that I was um, added to, which was really a blessing because I can ask questions specifically about a tennis that I was moving to. So I really appreciated that as well. And to your point, the Facebook groups, there are some groups that, you know, if you're like, I went to a Juneteenth party last week in Gracia and met like 100 different expats, from America, and that was amazing. We had a ball. But what's crazy is the farmers market. I meet more people at the farmers market every week. And this is how I've learned about Juneteenth parties and different things that were happening here in tennis and around Costa Rica. So I would say if you come here, immerse into the community with and also embrace the natural fruits and vegetables and all of the healthy way of life. You're going to meet other people who are on that health journey as well and connect with them as well, and that's how I found quite a few people that I connected with as well. And I love what you said about Spanish. So I had took some classes before, or a tutor about a year, been doing it for about a year. But it wasn't until I got immersed here in Costa Rica that I could practice with some real people that I saw my Spanish accelerate. Um, but you're right. Like they really love the fact that you are, trying. And I feel like if you're coming to another person's country, you need to speak, try to at least try to speak their language. And that to me has helped me immerse. I've met so many people here. The person that I had here last week that was looking for properties in Costa Rica, she was shocked at how you just in like, I've only been here less than 4 months and I've met so many people. And she says, you seem like you've been here for a year. But it was truly because to your point, I put myself out there. I met people. I'll park the car downtown and just walk to the different stores and, hang out in the square and, that kind of thing. It just really get to know people in the area.
Yeah.
So, what else are we not? What else that comes to mind when someone is thinking about relocating to Costa Rica that we haven't talked about? Anything?
Well, I mean, I would just say like an overview of logistics that people should be thinking about would be these are like the things that we take people through whenever we work with someone would be, of course, choosing your area. Well, number one, figuring out if Costa Rica is a good choice for you. So coming down on a
Hmm.
scouting trip can be good. I did not come down on a trip, so I don't judge anybody when they're on the call with me and I'm like, oh, have you been here before? And they're like, no. And I'm like, that's totally fine. Like, I'm not judging. I just like to know like where I'm at, with the person and if what do they know about the country. So if you can, coming down is a great idea. And then just checking out different areas, see what might be a good fit for you. Then you have your long-term home rental. That's going to be another big thing. Like I said, the majority of people we work with aren't jumping into a real estate purchase right away, like when they move. So you're gonna have to think about your long-term rental. We go through, residency or visa options. How do you want to stay here long-term legally? Your packing, shipping, bringing pets, budgeting, banking, insurance, medical, car purchase, or just your transportation options, and then just your day-to-day living stuff. So, how are you going to pay your bills? What are you going to do with your phone? How are you going to get mail? All these other things, or there's just a lot of things that maybe when we work with someone, they'll be like, "Oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah, what are we going to do about that?" So, more things are gonna
Hmm.
that we could. This call could be many, many hours if we went through everything, but just thinking about those as like the major logistics and I guess just making sure a lot of those logistics you can work on prior to arrival. So then you're just
Yeah.
already prepared.
I love that because you're right. Like the transition when I came here, setting up a bank account was like an act of Congress. So, but so that also brings me to because you said something about coming here and scouting. So I am hosting a women's retreat where I'm allowing people to really get immersed into Costa Rica, kind of have a reset, if you will, and it's specifically for women who want to um, have a place to just renew. We're going to also talk about relocating to Costa Rica. I'm going to connect you with people like Sarah. We're also going to meet with the legal, my legal lawyer, who's going to give you some legal advice. What it means to move here, and of course, you're going to enjoy the breathtaking views, the sunsets that she just talked about. I'm going to have a chef. You're going to have your own private house. So I am really excited about this opportunity for just having some daily inspiration that you can awaken to a new purpose and faith to make this move to Costa Rica or just enjoy Costa Rica and the environment and the Puerto Vita way of life. So in the description, I'm putting a link to Sarah's Relocate Now. If you wanted to get some more information and have her actually help you through the process of relocating to Costa Rica. And also I'm putting a link below as well for the retreat that I'm hosting here. It's August 7th through the 10th. It's this year, 2025. So it's coming up fairly quickly. There's only 7 slots available. Um, but if this information was helpful, please share this video Tell us what other information you are interested in hearing. Let us know in the comments. And until next time, uh, arise and shine. And I urge you to do what God is calling you to do.